Continuing with Fast Facts Geography, Chapter 3, Continents. Arlo, do you know what a continent is? Sure, a continent is when you go to the bathroom in your pants. No, Arlo, you're thinking of incontinence. I knew it. I just thought it would be funny to talk about going to the bathroom in your pants in a book about geography. Hey, speaking of going to the bathroom in your pants, can we talk about exploding volcanoes now? No, I'm going to try to put everything you just said out of my mind. A continent is a really large landmass. There are 7 of them on the Earth, and here they are in size order from the biggest to the smallest. Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, Australia, Oceania. It's hard to believe, but millions of years ago, those were the 7 continents were connected in one huge landmass called Pangaea, which means all land. Nobody knew that until 1912, when a German scientist named Alfred Wegener noticed the coastlines of South America and Africa looked like they could fit together, like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. You can see them for yourself if you look at a map. Go ahead. We'll wait. And now you know how it happened. The Earth's crust is divided into these gigantic sections called tectonic plates, and some of these plates contain continents, and others carry the ocean floor, and the plates often flow over the Earth's bubbling, boiling, molten mantle, sort of like rafts swimming in a pool. And believe it or not, there are tectonic plates that are moving right now, even as you read this. But don't worry, it's not like you're going to fall off a continent or anything. Tectonic plates only move a few inches every year. They say that the continents move at about the same rate as your fingernails grow. That's just a weird comparison. By the way, the Arctic is not a continent. Scientists used to think that the huge landmass covered by ice, just like Antarctica. But in 1858, they discovered there was no landmass there. It's just floating ice. How did they figure that out? Simple. A submarine went under the ice cap and came out on the other side. Asia. If you made a list of the biggest and the highest and the lowest continents, Asia would be the winner. It's the biggest continent by far in square miles, and it's the highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest, and it has the lowest point on the planet, the shores of the Dead Sea. Did you know how many people live in Asia? More than 4 billion. That's a lot of people. In fact, more people live in Asia than on any other continents in the world put together. The Great Wall of China was begun in the 8th century BC. The Chinese wanted to defend their country from the invasion from the north. They worked on the wall for over 2,000 years. Wow, my dad put up a wall in our basement. It only took a few days. That's just silly, Arlo. By the way, people will tell you that the Great Wall was the only man-made object you can see from outer space. That's baloney. The wall is now only 30 feet at the widest point, so there's no way you're going to see it from space. In America, Stan's a guy's name, but in Asia, it means homeland. There are 5 countries that end with Stan: Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan. And if you can spell any of them, then you should get the Nobel Prize. That's the prize they give for people who can spell weird country names. Did you ever wish you lived on an island? Then you should go to Indonesia. It's the country that's made up of 13,000 islands. A lot of people must like to live on an island because Indonesia is the 4th most populated country in the world. My mom once told me a wise saying, "No man is an island," but it made no sense at all. No man is a toothbrush either, but I don't go around making up wise sayings about it. The Komodo dragon is a giant lizard that can only be found in Indonesia. It can grow more than 10 feet and weigh over 300 pounds. Komodo dragons eat all kinds of meats, including humans. So maybe we don't want to go to Indonesia after all. Europe. Do you know what they say when you're going to the bathroom in France? European. Get it? European. European. That's horrible, Arlo. I know. But did you know that you could stand on 1 foot in Europe and 1 foot in Asia even without having to do the splits? It's true. 2 countries. Russia and Turkey are partly in the Europe and part in Asia. And there's one major city that it's in both continents, Istanbul. It's a great trivia question to ask your parents, by the way. I bet they won't get it right unless, of course, you live in Istanbul. Great Britain and a group of three countries in Europe is also called an island. To make things more complicated, the United Kingdom is made up of 4 countries, England, Scotland, and Wales, which are all part of Great Britain, and also Northern Ireland, which is not. About half of the Netherlands is below sea level. It doesn't mean that the people of the Netherlands sit underwater all day long. That would be weird. But thanks to a complicated system of dikes, canals, and pumping stations, they've managed to keep the water away from their land. The word Netherlands actually means low country. It would be cool if you could hop on your bike anywhere around the country, ride 5 miles and be in a different country. Well, there's only one place in the world where you can do that. Vatican City. It's the smallest country in the world, 1/5 of a square mile. That's about the size of 100 football fields. Vatican City is in the middle of Rome, Italy, and it's the seat of the Roman Catholic Church. Only 800 people live there. But Vatican City has its own coins, stamps, and passports. Africa. Here's another good question to ask your know-it-all parents. How many tigers are there in Africa? The answer is none. It was a trick question. Tigers are native to Asia, not Africa. So, na-na-na-na boo-boo on your parents. There are more than 50 countries in Africa, and people there speak 2,000 different languages. Well, all of them don't speak 2,000 different languages. That would be weird. Most of them probably speak 1 or 2 languages, but you know what I mean. Does your mom have a diamond ring or diamond earrings? They probably came from Africa. More than half the world's diamonds come from there. By the way, next to Arlo's head, a diamond is the hardest natural substance on Earth. Diamonds are not just used for rings and earrings. They're also used in saws and drills that can cut through granite. If you like to fly kites or ride dune buggies, you should go to Namibia. The red dust sand dunes there are the highest in the world. Rust red. The largest one is called the Big Daddy, and it's more than 1,000 feet high. Namibia would also be a good place to build sandcastles. The countries of Europe used to send people to Africa to establish the colonies there by the same way that they had colonies in America. But by 1991, those colonies had all gained their independence, and most of them changed their names. So if you look at a map of Africa from the 1990s and compare it with a recent map, you'll see most of the names of the countries are different. I guess the map makers were really happy because everybody had to go out and buy all new maps. North America. If you're reading this book, you probably live here, so you should know something about it. And if you're not reading this book, how do you even know I just wrote that? The highest point in North America is Mount Denali, also known as Mount McKinley. It's in Alaska, and it's about 20,320 feet above sea level. That is high. The lowest point in North America is Death Valley, California. It's 282 feet below sea level. We'll talk about more about Death Valley later. If you look at the map, you'll see there's a lot of water between Siberia and Alaska. But thousands of years ago, the water wasn't there. The first Americans actually walked here across the land bridge, and that's how people spread across North America. Ha! And you thought they took the train. The Grand Canyon was carved by the Colorado River over 1 million years ago. It's one of the 7 wonders of the natural world. Do you know how many dinosaur fossils have been found in the Grand Canyon? None! That's because the Grand Canyon is so old, it's older than the dinosaurs. Some people think that Mexico's in South America. Those people are called dumbheads. Mexico is south of the United States of America, but it doesn't mean it's in South America. Mexico is in North America. So are the countries in Central America: Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. Central America is a little strip of land that connects North and South America. Mexico, Central America, and South America are sometimes called Latin America. That's weird, because hardly anybody ever speaks Latin. In fact, hardly anybody anywhere speaks Latin. Greenland is the largest island in North America. It doesn't have the perfect name because it's not very green. In fact, 80% of it's covered with ice. Only 57,000 people live in Greenland. That's less than the number of people who attend the average NFL game. Many scientists think that dinosaurs were wiped out 65 million years ago when a comet slammed into North America and caused climate change. That comet left a huge crater, and it's still there. It's in Chicxulub on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. Don't ask me how to pronounce it. Did you ever wonder why North America and South America are called America? I'll tell you why. There is a guy named after this Italian explorer named Amerigo Vespucci. You're wondering why it wasn't named Vespucci? Probably because it would be weird to call our country the United States of Vespucci. Speaking of South America, like Europe and Asia, North and South America are really just one continent. They're connected by Central America, which is an isthmus. Don't bother looking up isthmus. I already did. An isthmus is a strip of land that connects two larger land areas. The Amazon rainforest is the biggest tropical rainforest in the world, over 2.5 million square miles. It still sits mostly in Brazil, Peru, and Colombia. The Amazon River, the second largest river in the world, flows through the rainforest. And by the way, the wettest inhabited place on Earth is Buenaventura, Colombia. The highest waterfall in the world is Angel Falls in Venezuela. It's 3,212 feet high. Do you think there's a single place on Earth that has not been explored by humans? There could be. Before 1911, no Westerner has ever seen or visited Machu Picchu. It's an ancient city in Peru, built high in the mountains. Australia, New Zealand, and Oceania. Did you ever hear of a continent called Oceania? I bet your parents never did either. But geographers now group Australia, New Zealand, and New Guinea, Tasmania, and Thousand Islands of South Pacific together in a continent they call Oceania. Thousands of islands? I bet that's where Thousand Island dressing comes from. Actually, it didn't, Arlo. Thousand Island dressing came from the thousands of islands between the United States and Canada and the St. Lawrence River. Nice try, though. Some of those thousands of islands in Oceania may someday be covered by the Pacific Ocean. If climate change leads to rising sea levels, many people from the island country of Tuvalu have already moved to New Zealand just in case. Australia has lots of interesting animals like koalas, kangaroos, platypuses, and my personal favorite, the Tasmanian devil. It is the meanest eating marsupial. That's an animal that carries its young in a pouch on its mother's belly, and it lives only in Tasmania, an island off of Australia's southeastern coast. The reason why Australia has lots of plants and animals is they are different from it being is far away from the Earth's other land masses. In fact, Australia didn't even have any cats, rabbits, or foxes until Europeans brought them there. Antarctica. Some days, when I'm feeling sad, I want to run away to Antarctica and go live with the penguins. Penguins are cool. My parents never yell at them, and they don't have to do homework or go to school or learn any stuff. But I actually went to Antarctica. I would be afraid because it's the very bottom of the world. And if you fall off the bottom of the world, where do we go? Into outer space? I don't know. I don't want to find out. Do you know the world's largest animal is in Antarctica? If you guessed penguins, you're wrong. Penguins are sea animals. The largest land animal in Antarctica is the wingless midge. It's an insect, and it's less than 1/2 inch long. Antarctica is where South Pole would pop out if there was a real pole and not just some imaginary spot. But it's an imaginary place, so that's the point of even talking about it. Santa Claus doesn't even live there. Antarctica is the coldest continent on the planet. How cold is it? It's so cold that the birds pick up worms with gloves on. That was funny, Arlo. By the time that it's so cold that there aren't any countries in Antarctica and hardly any people. The coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth was in Antarctica, of course. In July 1983, the temperature reached, are you ready for this? 128 degrees below zero. Yes, that's -128 degrees. I feel sorry for the guy that had to go outside and check the thermometer. Actually, there's a lot of icebergs around Antarctica. Some of them are really huge. The biggest iceberg I've ever seen measured 208 miles long and 60 miles wide. Wow, that's bigger than some countries. Antarctica is the only continent that gets larger and smaller during the year. In the winter, the ice forms around the continent. It doubles the size.